let's continue demand. Let's start with meaning of demand, determinants of demand, individual demand, determinants of demand, market demand, demand function, demand schedule, demand curve, law of demand, movement along the demand curve, that is change in quantity demanded, shift in demand curve, change in demand, substitute goods and complementary goods, normal goods and inferior goods. Let's start with meaning of demand. Goods are demanded because they have the capacity to satisfy our wants. But every want of a consumer cannot be called a demand. Demand does not mean mere desire for a commodity. Yes, let us understand this with the three different terms. Desire means a mere wish to have a commodity. See, for example, desire for a poor person for a car with just rupees 200 in his pocket. Want is a desire which is backed up the ability and willingness to satisfy it. Every desire is not a want, but a desire can become a want if the person is in a position to satisfy it. In the above example, if the poor person wins a lottery, now he has enough money to buy a car, then his desire for a car will now be termed as want. Law of demand. Law of demand states the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, keeping other factor constant. Ceteris paribus, this law is also known as first law of purchase. Assumption of the law of demand. The first one, the consumer is rational. Second, there is no change in the price of related goods. Third, taste and preference of the consumer remain same. Population remains constant. There are no expectation about changes in future prices. So these are the assumption of the law of demand. Determinants of demand, that is individual demand, price of the given commodity, price of related goods, income of the consumer, taste and preferences, expectation of changes in the price in future. The first one, price of given commodity. It is the most important factor affecting demand for the given commodity. Generally, there exists an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. It means a price increases, quantity demanded falls due to decrease in the satisfaction level of consumer. See, for example, if price of given commodity, say tea, increases, its quantity demanded will fall, as satisfaction derived from tea will fall due to rise in its price. The second one, price of related goods. Demand for the given commodity is also affected by change in price of the related goods. There are in related goods of two types. One, substitute goods. Second one, complementary goods. Substitute goods are those goods which can be used in place of one another for satisfaction of a particular want, like tea and coffee. An increase in the price of substitute leads to an increase in the demand for the given commodity. Yes, and vice versa. See, for example, if price of a substitute good, say coffee, increases, then demand for given commodity, say tea, will rises. Yes, will rise as tea will become relatively cheaper in comparison to coffee. Complementary goods are those goods which are used together to satisfy a particular want, like tea and sugar. See, for example, if a price of a complementary good, say sugar, increases, then demand for a given commodity, say tea, will fall as it will be relatively costlier to use both the goods together. The third one, income of the consumer. Demand for a commodity is also affected by income of the consumer. See, for example, suppose income of the consumer increases. Yes, as a result, the consumer reduces the consumption of toned milk and increase consumption of full cream milk. In this case, toned milk is an inferior goods and for the consumer, and the full cream milk is a normal goods. Taste and preferences. Taste and preference of the consumer directly influences the demand for a commodity. They include changes in the fashion, custom, habits, etc. Now, the last, expectation of changes in the price in the future. If the price of a certain commodity is expected to increase in the near future, then people will buy more of that commodity than what they normally buy. There exists a direct relationship between expectation of changes in the price in the future and change in demand in the current period. See, for example, if the price of petrol is expected to rise in future, its present demand will increases. So these are the determinants of individual demand: price of the given commodity, price of related goods, income of the consumer, taste and preferences, expectation of changes in the price in future. Determinants of market demand. There are three determinants of market demand. The first one, size and composition of population, season and weather, distribution of income. The first one, size and composition of population. Yes, market demand for a commodity is affected by size of population in the country. Increase in population raises the market demand, while decrease in population reduces the market demand. The composition of population, that is ratio of males and females, children and number of old people in the population, also affects the demand for a commodity. For example, if a market has larger proportion of women, then there will be more demand for the articles of their use such as lipstick, saris, etc. Now the second one, season and weather. The seasonal and the weather condition also affect the market demand for a commodity. Example, during winter, demand for woolen clothes, jackets increases. Third one, distribution of income. If income in the country is equitably distributed, then market demand for the commodity will be more. That is, people are either very rich or very poor, then market demand will remain at lower level. Yes, now let's move on to the other one, demand schedule. Demand schedule is a tabular statement showing various quantities of a commodities being demanded at various levels of price during a given period of time. Yes, so price and quantity demanded. Yes, so as seen in the schedule, quantity demanded of X increases with decrease in its price. The consumer is willing to buy 1 unit at rupees 50. Yes, when price falls to 40 rupees, demand rises to 2 units. Yes, demand curve. Demand curve is a graphical representation of demand schedule. Yes, it is a locus of all the points showing various quantities of a commodity that a consumer is willing to buy at various levels of price during a given period of time, assuming no change in other factors. Exemptions to law of demand: given goods, status symbol goods, fear of shortage, ignorance, fashion related goods, necessities of life, change in weather. So these are the exemptions to law of demand. Reasons behind the law of demand. The first one, reasons behind the downward slopes of demand curve. What are the reasons? Only a downward sloping demand curve. Yes, sloping curve can show the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. When price falls, old buyers will buy more quantity, new buyers will start buying. When price falls, people may find new uses for the commodity. Rational consumer will reduce the quantity demanded when the price rises in order to equalize price with marginal utility. Fall in price leads to increase in real income. Consumer can buy more with given money income. So far we have discussed about meaning of demand, law of demand, assumption of demand, determinants of individual demand, determinants of market demand, demand schedule, demand curve, exemptions to law of demand, and reasons behind the law of demand. Thank you, students.